Greg Welborn with First Financial Consulting in Pasadena, California. I'd like you to imagine, picture yourself, if you will, strapped to a machine filled with kerosene, with two big General Electric engines pushing you toward a distant speck in the horizon of an unending ocean. You're traveling 150 miles an hour towards your aircraft carrier, that's that distant speck, and it's getting bigger and coming at you faster. You're in your F-18, and you've got your skill and the assistance of a landing signal officer, nicknamed Paddles, to help you land that plane. You're being guided all the way by a calm, steady voice so that you can catch a wire you can't see on a hook in the back of your plane that you cannot see. If you do it correctly, you've landed successfully. Every once in a while, though, you don't do it successfully. You don't do it right. And that calm, steady voice starts screaming at you. Abort, abort, pull up, go around. Now, you're also getting some visual cues. Back in the day, that landing signal officer used big red paddles and started waving you off, hence his nickname. Today, in the modern age, you get a red flashing light on your landing zone, so you will get this auditory input, you get this visual input. All you need to do is give it a little power, pull back on the stick, and go around for another attempt. But if you do it wrong, you don't listen to what's being said, you don't see what's being shown, you get this. Not too long ago, this is exactly what happened on the USS Carl Vinson. A young pilot ignored all of those visual inputs, all those auditory inputs, and he drove his F-18 into the back of the carrier. Now, miraculously, he survived, or we wouldn't be showing you the footage and we wouldn't be sharing this story. But incidents like this prompted the Navy to investigate, why do pilots ignore these inputs, ignore the rational process? Now, before I share with you what they found, I want to ask you whether you feel satisfied with how your investments are being handled. I know that may sound like a weird transition, but I assure you there's a connection here. If you've answered yes, you're satisfied, you don't need to watch the rest of this video other than for curiosity's sake. But if you answered no, I suggest this video is for you. What the Navy found is that when emotion and fear kick in, there's something in the back of our brain, deep biological chemical, which drives us to instinct, and that instinct drives out the rational thought. And there's no human instinct for how to land an F-18 on the back of an aircraft carrier. So when that Carl Vinson pilot went to instinct, the crash was inevitable. The Navy found that they had to replace human instinct with a new learned instinct. And this wasn't just a matter of additional training. They'd been training pilots for ages, and in fact, this Carl Vinson pilot had been trained. No, this is a different type of training, different intensity, that drove it deep, beyond just the rational explanation of how you land on an aircraft carrier, but to make it an instinct, so that if fear kicks in again, there's something there for that pilot. There's an instinct they can replace human instinct with to help them land those planes. Now, this same technique can be used to make investment performance improve. So if you're dissatisfied with how your investments are being handled and you find yourself doing the same thing or listening to the same advice, it's time to change. It's time to change that instinct. You see, human instinct in the investment world gets you motivated by greed and fear. When that market's climbing up, 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 hitting new highs, boy, you want a piece of that. But when that market's going down, 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 and it's hitting new lows, you don't want to be anywhere near it. And what you find yourself doing is you're buying high, selling low, repeating that process, crashing your investments, and getting very frustrated. A better learned investment instinct is to make those decisions based on a plan and consistency. So greed and fear get replaced with plan and consistency. So if you're dissatisfied with how your investments are being handled, you want to talk about that, or if you just want a second opinion, give us a call. We'd love to sit down and chat with you, buy you a cup of coffee, and talk about how not to crash your investments.